Wow, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Things are starting to get heated between Jack Catterall and Teofimo Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Catterall and Sam Jones are going off on Twitter, along with Eddie Hearn, who's took into his Instagram story and is posting things like this, which we're about to get into, ladies and gentlemen. But first, I've got a clip to show you, which is causing the reaction. It's causing Jack Catterall, Sam Jones, and Eddie Hearn to react in an angry way, because Teofimo Lopez just went on Ariel Helwani's podcast, YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, and basically made the claim that his name was not involved in this contract that Jack Catterall and Shakram Gayazov signed. It was Shakram Gayazov who was sitting around for years as the mandatory to face Rolly Romero, ladies and gentlemen. It was the WBA that decided to elevate Rolly Romero to super welterweight champion of the world and create the Shakram Gayazov versus Jack Catterall fight that took place on May 23rd to be for the WBA regular title, but guaranteeing the winner would become the mandatory and get to face within 180 days, would get to face the champion. At the time, the champion was Rolly Romero. Teofimo Lopez is claiming that his name was never involved in that contract, and that, based off of WBA rules, that should change everything that has to do with this mandatory. He's claiming that he shouldn't have to gain Jack Catterall as a mandatory. Ladies and gentlemen, check this clip out, and then we're going to discuss what Jack Catterall and Sam Jones and Eddie Hearn have to say.
A text from Sam Jones, the boxing manager. He's like, Jack Catterall has to be next. Catterall versus Teofimo. He was very loud on fight night as well. Your thoughts on a fight against Jack Catterall?
So I was on Inside the Ring show.
Yeah.
You know, that's pushed by Ring Magazine, The Zone, and all those great things. However, the contract that they signed, I never was involved in that contract, in that agreement. Okay, I am trying to delegate it with my legal team. Hey, go to the legal team. We'll talk. I don't touch nobody. We'll fight. However, if I need to express it a little bit more, that contract that they signed for the extension of whatever it was, 180 days, was with the name like of Rolando Rolly Romero, not Teofimo Lopez. So that means the whole situation of mandatory and everything changes now. It's a reset. And I think people are forgetting that. They're a little bit over their head on that, you know. And that's as best as I can express it at this particular time. Now, I'm suspended from all commissions right now due to the cut in my right eye. So until then, until I get my license back, so to speak, from the commission, we don't need to express about any mandatories at this particular time. It's not needed.
He tweeted, Teo was gifted a shot at the world title coming off a loss against a champion. People were queuing up to fight. Rolly's obligation to fight his mandatory should be without a doubt passed on to him. This is what he's saying to Teofimo, that he should be next now because you got, sorry, not to Teofimo. He's saying this tagging you because you got the shot and he didn't.
Is this Catterall still?
Yeah, this is Catterall.
The two fighters that we fought, we have a relationship with other fighters. He lost to Barboza and he lost to Josh Taylor. I've beaten Barboza and I've beaten Taylor. I think that if he was really the guy that he was, or that the business of boxing sees him as, he would have already had that title shot. I mean, but technically he did, right? In Egypt, when he fought Giarso, excuse me, I don't mean to butcher the guy that he fought, but he fought for the interim or regular world title. So, I mean, he's a champion, kind of.
Okay. So maybe that means you are interested, or not?
I'm interested in my path, which is undisputed. I'm not gonna let nobody take that away. No one's gonna take that away. No one's gonna reroute that decision, guys. It is done. It is done. They need to allow it.
All right then, man. So first of all video credit goes to Ariel Helwani. Shout out to Ariel Helwani and his podcast on YouTube. Teofimo Lopez has spoken his mind, contacted his lawyers, and says that they're not budging. There's nothing that could take him away from his plan on becoming undisputed champion. Now, how do you think that how do you think that rubbed Jack Catterall and Sam Jones? Obviously angry. Jack Catterall went to his Twitter, reposted the Ariel Helwani and Teofimo Lopez interview and said, "Embarrassing at Teofimo Lopez. Making boxing great again. It's very simple. No mandatory for 2 years at WBA Boxing. Said 180 days I'll get to fight for the title no matter who is holding it, and that's now you. You got a gift on the plate fighting Raleigh coming off a loss, so don't be a coward and fight me." He then goes and reposts what Eddie Hearn posted on his Instagram story. Jack Catterall says, 180 days from the day I boxed Shakram Gaizov, who was also avoided like the plague, right? Remember, Raleigh Romero was trying to avoid Shakram Gaizov at all costs. The man went from not calling out Devin Haney and not wanting to fight any of these dudes to completely switching just like that. The second that he found out the WBA was going to order him to face his mandatory in Shakram Gaizov. Raleigh avoided this man like the plague, like Jack Catterall says. He continues on and says, "It's not hard to understand. There has been no mandatory for over 2 years," which is right. Shakram Gaizov was already getting ready to petition to the WBA because he was sitting around for years. Don't get me wrong, it took side money, but still, at the end of the day, the man was still waiting. Teo got a gift with Raleigh, and now he will be obliged to have a mandatory. Imagine the message is going to send to fighters working their way up through the rankings, paying sanctioning fees, to be told there's basically no such thing as a mandatory. Anyway, I fully expect the WBA to honor what they agreed with myself and Eddie Hearn. Sam Jones went to Twitter and reposted what Ariel Helwani put and says, "This is just ducking. So you got an embarrassment statement going towards Teofimo Lopez from Jack, and now you've got Sam Jones saying he's ducking. Gifted a title shot coming off a loss to a champion that's not had a mandatory for 2 years. The mandatory should be passed on to the winner," which we spoke about, Teofimo Lopez. It's that simple at WBA Boxing. Then he went on by reposting what Eddie Hearn has to say, and in that Instagram story, Eddie Hearn says, "At WBA official already confirmed that the obligation would fall on Teo if he became champion." So we know this already, ladies and gentlemen. We know Teofimo Lopez has gained Jack Catterall as a mandatory. Now, the argument that Jack Catterall and Sam Jones have been making is that there's already a contract in place. We were guaranteed the winners out of that fight. But now you got Teofimo Lopez saying, on the contract, it doesn't actually state my name. It states the name of Raleigh Romero, the winners out of Shakram Gaizov. And Jack Catterall will get to face Raleigh Romero, the champion at the time. Within 180 days, it was Raleigh Romero who fought Teofimo Lopez and lost his title. And now Teo's claiming that the mandatory rules change. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be honest with you, bro. Jack Catterall deserves the fight. He does, bro. He does. If the WBA pulls something off like this, ladies and gentlemen, also involving the WBA rules when it comes to a super welterweight title, and they allow this to change, even though they give their word, it would be absolutely tragic, bro. It would make the WBA look so god dang bad. But to be honest, I don't know if they're gonna do that. You've got Eddie Hearn, who pretty much drops the ball and says that they've already told him that Teo is obliged to face Jack Catterall next, which lets me know Eddie Hearn is out here saying that, Jack Catterall, Sam Jones. It lets me know that this fight is probably going to happen next. The only reason why it doesn't is if Teofimo Lopez has a point here with his name not being on the contract and his lawyers work some type of argument up, ladies and gentlemen, and bypass this mandatory. Ladies and gentlemen, things are starting to get real interesting. I feel like Teofimo Lopez will eventually be ordered to face Jack Catterall. But if that's true, they got to schedule a fight before the end of November, which it's not a lot of time, man. We're already in August, already coming towards the end of August. Got a few months left, and that's it. Teofimo Lopez. Now, although, yes, Jack Catterall does deserve this, worst case scenario is that Jack Catterall, Sam Jones, and Eddie Hearn don't get what they want. It turns into the worst case scenario, but also maybe the best case scenario for certain boxing fans. Let's speak about Devin Haney. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it'll be a crime if the WBA does this, but let's be real and not act like Devin Haney is not getting blocked out by all the champions in this welterweight division. One thing that I like about Teofimo Lopez right now that he's currently doing is he is trying to become the undisputed champion. He does want to fight against guys like Conor Benn, against guys like Ryan Garcia, whoever wins the WBC title. He does want to fight guys like Liam Paro. Ladies and gentlemen, Liam Paro's calling the man out, the IBF welterweight champion. And then wants to finish it off with Devin Haney. I feel if Jack Catterall were to get this shot, and let's just say he beats Teofimo Lopez, bruh, we really don't know what's going to happen with Devin Haney, man. We do not know if these guys are going to continue and box Devin Haney out. At least with Teo, the man has a plan, and it finishes off with Devin Haney. There's one man in the welterweight division that's not trying to block out Devin. Yes, he could fight him right now. Doesn't want to. Wants to wait a little bit. But he has plans on eventually facing Devin Haney, which I have no problem with, ladies and gentlemen. Make boxing great again. Put on the biggest, best fights. With boxing out Devin Haney in this welterweight division, it's ruining this division, bro. You got guys like Teofimo Lopez who want to fight the best. And I don't agree with Teofimo Lopez on most of the things he says. He's a disrespectful. But if he continues with this plan that he has set forth, I'm down for it. If he is lying and really has no plans on fighting Devin Haney, is really ducking the man, then my goodness, Jack Catterall, give him his goddamn shot. It's only right at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, based off of rules, that Jack Catterall gets the next fight against Teofimo Lopez, and they schedule this fight before November. Honestly, after there hasn't been a mandatory fight in this WBA welterweight division in more than 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. So that being said, you've got back and forth from Jack Catterall, Eddie Hearn, and Sam Jones. These guys are going at it with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo has brought up a whole new interesting look when it comes to the actual contract negotiations and what was set up, what was promised in all this. We're going to have to see how things end up playing out. But as of right now, Eddie Hearn has made a statement. It seems like Teo's going to have to fight Jack, bro. That's what it seems like. But I want y'all to let me know in the comments what you guys think, man. It's absolutely breaking news. More arguments, more confrontation, more drama when it comes to this WBA welterweight sanctioning bodies. It's a bad look, man. It's a bad look. Should never be in this position in the first place. But let me know what you guys think in the comments.